Welcome to the JP8 report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report, episode 294. All right, good afternoon, everyone. If you're thinking you already saw me once a day, you're not thinking wrong. I was on at 6:30 this morning to do a quick rundown and do some practicing and stuff, and everything was a success. Now I got a little bit of problems on my Rumble, but it looks like I'm doing fine because I am live, and I got some swirls on my mobile stuff, but I think everything is good to go. So so this is episode 294, and it's called Trump Proposes Record Defense Budget, which is cool. $1.5 trillion. Okay, so as we begin today, since I'm all well practiced, let's see. I did a half hour this morning, and I read for my Now for the Good News podcast. I did Psalms 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So I read 7 chapters out of Psalms this morning, and I got to schedule them out because I'm about to run out of space on her. All right, but that's a whole different podcast. All right, so welcome to the JP8 report. If you're watching and you are not a follower to the JP8 report, click that follow button. It's free. Then go right next to it. There is the thumbs up button, which is the like button. Please give us a like and then share the podcast. Please engage us on chat. That builds our witness, our algorithm, so people can see that we are, and leave a comment if you want. All right? Everything helps. All right, so this is the JPA report. This is Thursday, January 8th. I already did one America 250 event this morning, and then I got another one for the day. Matter of fact, it's 2 of them. One's a letter, all right? And the other is the Continental Army raided Charlestown, Massachusetts, and burned the British-held homes while the British officers were in a play in Boston. All right? They left the hen house unguarded, and they lost. All right? But, yeah, that happened on the 8th of January in Charlestown, Massachusetts. I have no idea where Charleston, but it can't be too far from Boston. And then I have a letter from someone from Boston, John Adams, and he wrote to Mercy Otis Warren, and it's about the foundation of the Republic. All right? So, dear Madam, remember, John Adams to Mercy Otis Warren. Dear Madam, your friend insists upon my writing to you, and although I am conscious it is my duty, being deeply in debt for a number of very agreeable favors in the epistolary way, yet I doubt whether a sense of this duty would have ever overcome my inclination and indolence in relaxation, with which on my fireside always inspires me, if it had not been stimulated and quickened by her. I was charmed with 3 characters drawn by the most masterly pen, which I received at the Southward. Copley's pencil could not touch off with more exquisite finishings the faces of those gentlemen. Whether I ever answered that letter, I know not, but I hope posterity will see it. If they do, I am sure they will admire it. I think I will make a bargain with you to draw a character on every new personage I have the opportunity of knowing, on condition you will do the same. My view will be to learning the art of penetrating into men's bosoms when it's more difficult art in painting than as well as government, as gowns, bureaus, and chariots. As for although it will infallibly beggar me and my children, will produce strength, hardiness, activity, courage, fortitude, and enterprise. The manly, noble, sublime qualities of human nature in abundance. And monarchy would probably somehow or other make me rich, but it would produce so much taste and politeness, so much elegance in dress, furniture, and equipage, so much music and dancing, so much fencing and skating, so much cards and backgammon, so much horse racing and cockfighting, so many balls and assemblies, so many plays and concerts, that the very imagination of them makes me feel vain, light, frivolous, and insignificant. It is a form of government which gives the decisive color of the manners of the people more than any other thing, as well as under a well-regulated commonwealth, the people must be virtuous and cannot be otherwise. Under a monarchy, they may be as vicious and foolish as they please. Nay, they cannot be vicious and foolish. As you were. It says, nay, they cannot be vicious and foolish. As politics, therefore, is a science of human happiness, and human happiness is clearly best promoted by virtue. What thorough politician can hesitate, who has a new government to build, whether to prefer a commonwealth or a monarchy? But, madam, there is one difficulty, which I know not how to get over. Virtue and simplicity of manners is indispensably necessary in a republic, among all orders and degrees of men. But there is so much rascality, so much venality and corruption, so much avarice and ambition, and such a rage for profit and commerce through all ranks and degrees of men, even in America, that I sometimes doubt whether there is a public virtue enough to support a republic. There are two vices most detestable, predominant in every part of America that I have yet seen, which are as incompatible with the spirit of a commonwealth as light is with darkness. I mean civility and flattery. A genuine Republican can no more fawn and cringe than he can domineer. Show me an American who cannot do all. I know 2 or 3, I think, a very few more. However, it is part of a great politician to make the character of his people, to distinguish among them the follies and vices that he sees, and to create in them the virtues and abilities which he sees wanting. I wish I was sure that America has one such politician, but I fear she has not. Letter begun in gaiety is likely to have conclusion that while I was writing the last word or paragraph, my attention was called off, and the most melodious sounds in my ears, mortars and muskets. A very hot fire of artillery and small arms on behalf was continued for almost an hour, and has been succeeded by a luminous phenomenon over Braintree North Common, occasioned by the burning buildings, I suppose. Whether our people have attacked or defended, been victorious or vanquished, is to me totally uncertain, but in either case I rejoice, for defeat appears to me preferable to total inaction. May the supreme ruler of events overrule in our favor, but in the event of this evening is unfortunate, I think we ought at all hazards, and at any loss to retrieve it tomorrow. I hope the militia will be ready and to honor be retrieved by making Boston our own. I shall be in suspense this night, but very willing to take my place with my neighbors tomorrow and crush the power of the enemies or suffer under it. I hope Colonel Warren sleeps at Cushing's this night and that I shall see him in the morning. Meantime, I think I shall sleep as soundly as ever. I am, madam, your most humble servant and sincere friend, John Adams. That was a quick transition in that letter. All right. But remember, that was John Adams to Mercy Warren on the 8th of January, 1776. All right. Put that right there. How's everybody doing today? Don't forget to click the follow button and the like button, though, okay? Alrighty. So, this is the Dalmatian. Matter of fact, my wife, in about 45 minutes, is leaving the house while I'm still on the air, and she's going to go get us some Dalmatian burgers for lunch. So, these guys, they make smash burgers and dogs right here in Copper's Cove. It's all homemade, including the buns. Everything's fresh. They go buy supplies every single day between the morning and the evening to make sure they're able to do this job right. I like the armadillo burger. That one right there that you see me circling right now. So to go along with that, their hours are Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 2 and 5:30 to 7 unless they sell out. And as of yesterday evening, they included Mondays on their lunch hours list. So now they're open Monday through Saturday, 11 to 2, and Tuesday through Saturday, 5:30 to 7. Right, and they're on the west side of Copper's Cove, behind bushes. All right, so that's the Dalmatian. I cannot wait to get that. I'm hungry. What did I even eat for breakfast? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. I had some Mexican food. All right. I digress. Man, I got a newspaper reporter calling me right now. Hey, Lynette, if you're watching the podcast, I will call you back afterward, okay? I guess she's not watching. She's just calling me. All right. So, where am I at? Oh, yeah, I was on the Dalmatian. So, now it's time for the JP8 report. The first thing out of the hopper is yesterday evening, the Speaker of the House, Michael Johnson, wrote a formal letter to the President of the United States inviting him to come out to the joint session of Congress on the 24th of February for the State of the Union. All right. So I got an article and I got the letter. All right. House Speaker Michael Johnson on Wednesday sent a letter inviting President Donald Trump to deliver the annual State of the Union address before a joint session of Congress next month. As our nation marks its semiquincentennial anniversary of American independence, boy, that is so cool. The United States stands stronger, freer, and more prosperous under your leadership and bold action. The invitation states, together in 2025, your administration and 119th Congress delivered one of the most consequential agendas in history, and Americans across this great country will experience the tangible results of common sense governance. Trump last addressed Congress on March 4th, less than 2 months into his second term, but it was not a State of the Union because he's exempted from it because he had just taken office. In all actuality, I believe Biden should have done it right before he left office. That should be the way it's done. In his invitation, Johnson said, Congress looks forward to the important work ahead of us in 2026, serving the American people, defending liberty, and preserving the grand experiment of self-governance. To that end, it is my distinct honor and great privilege to invite you to address a joint session of Congress on Tuesday, February 24th, 2026, in the chamber of the U.S. House of Representatives, he wrote. During Trump's 2025 address, Representative Al Green was ejected from the House chamber minutes into his remarks. Trump called his 2024 election a victorious election of a mandate for what was to come. All right. So that's that right there. And then I'm going to go over to the letter. This is the letter from the Speaker of the House, Mr. President. Okay. Dear Mr. President, our nation marks this as our mark. Hold on just a second. Okay. As our nation marks the semiquincentennial anniversary of American independence, the United States stands stronger, freer, and more prosperous under your leadership and bold action. Together in 2025, your administration and 119th Congress delivered one of the most consequential agendas in history. The Americas across this great country will experience the tangible results of common sense governance. We look forward to advancing the important work ahead of us in 2026, serving the American people, defending liberty, and preserving the grand experiment in self-government. To that end, it is my distinct honor and great privilege to invite you to address a joint session of Congress on February 24, 2026, in the chamber of the U.S. House of Representatives. Sincerely, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. All right. So there's that. I am so glad that it's not scheduled on a Wednesday like it did a couple times in the past, because I go to church on Wednesday evenings. All right. So the next thing on the JP8 report, we're at 20 minutes. There's plenty to talk about. If you have any questions or comments, please chime in on the chat, okay? So the next thing on the JP8 report is the third time is not the charm for Stacey Abrams. If you don't know who Stacey Abrams is, she ran for governor. She used to be the Speaker of the Georgia House, and then 8 years ago, she ran for governor against Brian Kemp, got beat. She ran 4 years ago for governor of Georgia, and then again got beat by Brian Kemp, even worse than she did the first time. And there was all kinds of speculation that Stacey Abrams was going to run a third time for governor. Well, it says here the third time won't be the charm for Stacey Abrams, at least in 2026. The two-time Democratic gubernatorial nominee in battleground Georgia is ruling out another run for governor this year, saying that instead she'll focus on her work fighting for what she warns is the nation's move toward authoritarianism under President Donald Trump. Americans are in pain, but they are ready to act. Now is the moment to reconnect to what is at stake and what is possible. Abrams said in a statement to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, "It is clear to me that the most effective way I can serve right now is by continuing to do this work. For that reason, I will not seek elected office in 2026. Abrams, a former Democrat Party leader in the Georgia state legislature and nationally known as a voting rights advocate, narrowly lost to Republican Brian Kemp in the 2018 gubernatorial election and lost her 2022 rematch to Kemp by nearly 8 points. See what I was saying earlier? Sources confirmed to Fox News last spring that Abrams was mulling a third straight run for governor in the race to succeed now term-limited Kemp. Abrams grabbed plenty of national attention in the 2018 Georgia race and came close to making history as the nation's first black female elected governor. Her refusal to concede to Kemp by losing by a razor-thin margin boosted her among many Democrats while becoming a top GOP political target. She launched the Fair Fight political organization following her defeat and helped Biden narrowly carry Georgia in the 2020 presidential election and also contributed to the sweep by the Democrats in the January 5th, 2021 twin Senate runoff elections. She launched a Fair Fight political organization following her defeat. Just bear with me because there's a little bit more that y'all need to hear. Abrams raised over $110 million in fundraising for a 2022 rematch with Kemp, but was soundly defeated by the Republican incumbent. In recent years, the political machine Abrams built has faded. Abrams founded New Georgia Project folded last year after being fined $300,000 for illegally backing her in the 2018 campaign. While her campaign last year considered a 2026 gubernatorial run, other Democrat candidates jumped into the race. Former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, who served as the director of White House Office and Public Engagement during President Joe Biden, or Autopin, is widely seen as a front runner for the Democrat gubernatorial nomination. Also running for the Democrat nomination is Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, who was elected in 2018 but declined to seek re-election in 2022. He's the turncoat Republican. Okay, the former Republican is now a moderate Democrat. Former state Representative Rua Roman and former DeKalb County CEO Michael Thurman are also in the race. In the race for the Republican nomination is Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, and he has the backing of President Donald Trump. The field also includes Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr and Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. And we'll stop on that one. So it was a wide open field on both sides. President Trump is backing Burt Jones to be in there. I thought Buddy Carter was going to be, or is he running for Senate? I cannot remember. Does anyone know? If anyone knows, please let me know. Okay, chat in. All right. But yeah, so Stacey Abrams, my guess is she's going to try to throw her hat in the ring and run for president in 2028 under a fresh slate. All right. That's my guess. All right. And then more election news. In Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro filed for re-election. He's a popular incumbent governor of the state of Pennsylvania, or the Commonwealth. And it says, and then immediately after he filed for re-election, Doug Mastriano filed again to run for governor. Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano is sitting out of the 2026 elections, criticizing. Is sitting out of the 2026 elections, criticizing the state's political climate in a sharply worded open letter. I thought that said different. Okay. Mastriano, who represents Chambersburg, Gettysburg, and McSherrytown in the legislature, rose to prominence by spearheading the opposition to COVID-19 lockdowns by then Governor Tom Wolf. There where violations were also litigated by then Attorney General Josh Shapiro and Wolf's cabinet, like the then Health Secretary Rachel Levine, the Agricultural Secretary Russell Redding, the retired Army Colonel and veteran of Desert Storm's Battle of 73rd Eastling, the last contemporary tank battle, which I have a buddy of mine that fought in that battle, and he told me stories. Wow. I never heard combat could move so fast in my life. Confirmed to Fox News Digital that he will not seek the Republican nomination for governor despite vocal public support on the conservative right. This opens up the field to State Treasurer Stacey Garrity. Okay? Remember that name, Stacey Garrity. All right? And she's the state treasurer right now. God has not called us to run for governor in this season. He said maybe 2028, maybe 2030, but not now. That does not mean we are going away. In an accompanying open letter to the people of Pennsylvania shared with Fox News Digital, Mastriano took jabs at both Shapiro and intra-party critics that promised that his Walk as Free People movement started during the lockdowns is not going anywhere. Doug and his wife, Rebbe, remain committed to strengthening the grassroots conservatives movement across the Commonwealth. Mastriano added in a statement to Fox News Digital, the movement has never been one about person or one campaign. Mastriano said in the statement issued from Gettysburg, it has always been about faith, freedom, and the people of Pennsylvania. Since the lockdowns, Mastriano and other lawmakers have held rallies, protests around the state, from Tiny Jerome outside of Johnstown to the steps of the Capitol in Harrisburg. Supporters who often don Walk as Free People or Mastriano's Army shirts also had held occasional picnics in a lockdown-averse township of Lancaster. I've been to Lancaster. It's a pretty good town. They got a lot of Amish people there, too. So, Mastriano's not running. I read through this one time before, and I thought he immediately had filed to run for governor. Well, Miss Garrity is supposed to be very formidable anyway. So she's a Republican. I'm going for her. And I think I've seen some of her campaign stuff before. You know, I used to live in Maryland, so we'd get stuff from Pennsylvania all the time. I was stationed in Maryland. I'm not from Maryland. I'm from Fort Worth. All right. So, no comments or anything. All righty. Okay. So, next is... That is done on that part. Hold on, let me refresh real quick. Okay, I'm live. My phone froze on me for some reason. There we go. I'm live again. All right, cool. All right. My next on the JP8 report is the Supreme Court and I talked a little bit about this yesterday. The Supreme Court is, my phone froze because Lynette called. Okay, that's it. Tomorrow, the Supreme Court is expected to rule on the tariffs case that came before them. Earlier, I think it was in December when they had arguments. But yeah, so the tariffs ruling is expected to be tomorrow. So I'm sure most rulings come out of the Supreme Court about 10 a.m. All right, and there's breaking news. Hold on just a second. VP joins Press Secretary Leavitt at White House briefing. Okay. So we'll see. And depends on if I'm going to do the JP8 report twice again tomorrow or just once tomorrow. We'll see. But if the ruling comes out before the 12 p.m. Central podcast, it will definitely be on this podcast because it will be everywhere. All right? All right. Let me reset my phone since I had a spam call just now. I should be live on my phone. There we go. All right. So next is the defense budget, which is the highlight of my the title of the podcast. All right. Well, before I get that, So U.S. job claims came out at 7:30 this morning Central. It came out 8:30 Eastern. Jobless claims rose by only 8,000 applications from the week ending January 3rd to 208,000. The experts out there expected 210,000 people. But just saying, okay, so you're like, oh man, 8,000 more people around the country filed for unemployment. Well, remember the Christmas shopping season is over and retailers tend to lay people off at the end of that period because they're temporary workers. Okay, so don't look too much into that because it's usually misleading at this time of year. Okay, and then the unemployment report, the first real one, will be released tomorrow morning at 7:30, 8:30 Eastern. All right. And then the president submitted a defense proposal which is required by law. All right. Let me go over to it. Okay. So I'm going to read the truth. Then I'm going to read the article. Okay. And then I got a quote for you also. So I'm going to transition over. All right. After long and difficult negotiations with senators, congressmen, secretaries, and other political representatives, I have determined that for the good of our country, especially in those very troubled and dangerous times, our military budget for 2027 should not be $1 trillion, but rather $1.5 trillion. This will allow us to build the dream military that we have long been entitled to, and more importantly, that will keep us safe and secure regardless of foe. If it weren't for the tremendous numbers of being produced by terrorists from other countries, many of which in the past have ripped off the United States at levels never seen before, I would say the $1 trillion number, but because of tariffs and the tremendous income that they bring, amounts being generated that would have been unthinkable in the past, especially just 1 year ago during the sleepy Joe Biden or Autopen president in the history of our country, we are able to easily hit the $1.5 trillion number while at the same time producing an unparalleled military force and having the ability to at the same time pay down debt and likewise pay a substantial dividend to moderate income patriots within our country. President Donald J. Trump. All right. He put that on Truth Social yesterday afternoon. All right. So, so what he calls it, his dream military. President Trump is asking the Congress to hike the annual military spending by 66% to build a dream military, while demanding that arms contractors cap CEO salaries and halt investor dividends. Trump in December signed legislation with a record $901 billion in military spending for fiscal 2026, which ends September 30th, but said Wednesday he wants an additional $599 billion in fiscal 2027. The request must pass the Republican-held House and Senate and was immediately cheered on by a number of prominent defense hawks, probably Lindsey Graham. It may generate calls for cuts elsewhere following last year's $2.2 trillion in the national debt, which now stands at $38.4 trillion. After long and difficult negotiations with congressmen, senators, secretaries, and political representatives, I just read that, I've determined that for the good of our country, especially in these very troubled and dangerous times, our military budget for FY 2027 should not be $1 trillion, but rather $1.5 trillion, Trump wrote on Truth Social. This will allow us to build a dream military that we have long been entitled to, and more importantly, will keep us safe and secure regardless of foe. Trump said tariff revenue inspired him to make a large proposal, which would likely boost his Golden Dome missile defense, very smart, and his Golden Fleet naval plan, very, very smart, recently announced Trump-class battleships. If it weren't for the tremendous numbers of being produced by tariffs in other countries, many of which in the past have ripped us off at levels never seen before, I would say that $1 trillion, I would stay at the $1 trillion level. He talks about a dividend, paying down debt. The announcement sent military contractor stocks soaring, with Northrop Grumman, which he pounded later on. Oh, no, he pounded Raytheon. Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, all notching significant jumps Wednesday afternoon and Thursday morning. The day is Thursday afternoon. Some prominent Republicans in Congress said they would support Trump's request. House Appropriations Committee Chairman Tom Cole from Oklahoma told Politico defense spending needs to go up. And Republican Don Bacon, a frequent thorn in Trump's side, said this is very good news story. Democrats use the legislation, however, as a point of leverage to constrain Trump's foreign policy, including the use of the military to bomb alleged drug boats in the Caribbean Sea and his threats to use troops to seize Greenland from Denmark, and that was hyperboles. So they'll use any excuse out there to have TDS and go against everything. You know, if the president blinked his eyes 5 times in 1 minute or 30 seconds, they would say he was wrong. All right. Fiscal conservatives in the past concluded military spending as a target for cost cuts, pointing at an alleged waste of $10,000 toilet seat covers. The $901 billion appropriation that Trump signed last month was supplemented by $150 billion spread over 5 years in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Okay, so let's see. Trump paired his request for a record military spending with equally unprecedented attack on rich executives leading America's weapons manufacturers. The president warned the companies to stop issuing dividends to investors and to cap executive pay at $5 million, and singled out Raytheon, which I was just mentioned, whose CEO Christopher Kallio earned more than $21 million in 2024 for being the slowest to fill orders. All United States defense contractors and defense industry as a whole, beware. While we make all the best military equipment in the world, no other country is even close. That was him, not me. Defense contractors are currently issuing massive dividends to their shareholders and massive stock buybacks in the expense and detriment for investing in plants and equipment. This situation will be no longer allowed or tolerated. Trump did not name any particular company or product line in his lengthy initial statement before blasting Raytheon, which makes a wide range of material, including tomahawks, in a second, because it takes a while to make a tomahawk missile. The president's actually very correct on that. I have been informed by the Department of War that defense contractor Raytheon has been the least responsive to the needs of the Department of War, the slowest in increasing their volume, and the most aggressive spending on their shareholders rather than the needs and demands of the United States military, Trump wrote on a second post. Raytheon seems to think this is the Biden administration. That's far from it. And this is business as usual. In all caps, he said, it's not. Either Raytheon steps up and starts investing more upfront investment like plants and equipment, or they will no longer be doing business with the Department of War. Also, if Raytheon wants further business with the U.S. government, under no circumstances will they be allowed to do any additional stock buybacks where they have spent tens of billions of dollars, and until they are able to get their act together. Our country comes first, and they're going to have to learn that the hard way. Raytheon did not respond to the New York Post. So the only thing I did not see in there was the recommended pay increase for service members. Wow. That's surprising, because I would like to see what that would have been. Alrighty. So, next. We got all that done. And did y'all hear that Colt McCoy is going to be on the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board? If you don't know who he was, he graduated from the University of Texas in 2009 when they won the NCAA championship. He lives in Aledo. If you don't know where Aledo is, you're not from the western side of Fort Worth. But he lives in Aledo, and he's a real estate agent, but he got appointed to the THECB, and he has to be confirmed by the state senate here in Texas in 2027 so he can stay on the board. All right? Okay, so next, Bongino. Bongino was on Hayley Cornea last night. I watched the whole interview. I'm psyched. I cannot wait. He said he's going to return early February, and he's going to do a 2-hour show, and it's going to be Monday through Friday. But he really didn't say too much, and he said Vince isn't going anywhere. He's staying, but he's going to be Bongino's going to be on the air from 10 Eastern to 12 Eastern. All right. So there's going to be some shakeup at Rumble. I'm still planning to stay where I'm at. I am not. I love doing this, so I'm going to keep doing it. All right. If I got to adjust my time schedule, I will adjust it, and then we'll go from there. But it was so great to see him talk behind his microphone, because they brought his microphone out last night, so he can talk on it. At this point, we're at the point where I'm going to remind you one more time. If you're watching this either live or if you're watching on video on demand, please click that follow button and please click that like button. All right? That would be greatly appreciated. Now back to the JP8 report. Steny Hoyer, he announced yesterday that he is going to retire from the Congress after 44 years of being a Democrat in Congress. 44, that's 22 terms that he wanted to stay in the Congress. All right. That's a long time. Have y'all been paying attention to what's going on in Minneapolis? Because I forgot one thing to tell y'all, but I'll get back to it. That is disheartening what's going on right at the beginning of the JP8 report. Before I take my glasses off for a minute, before I came on the air, there was a press conference from the governor of Minnesota and the DPS chief in Minnesota. And from what I saw that happened at the incident from the camera, I mean, I know I wasn't there, but videos most of the time don't tell lies. And it was an extended video that showed everything. They made it look like it was intentional from ICE. And then they insisted that they be able to do the investigation. It happened to a federal law enforcement officer, which means it belongs with federal attorney, U.S. attorneys. That's the word I was looking for. So we will see what's going on. So this morning I was talking about let's see. This is from the day. All right. So protesters in Minnesota have been confronting federal agents in the city on Thursday morning. I saw that on TV when I had to go out to get my card fixed. One day after ICE agents shot and killed a 37-year-old woman, hundreds of demonstrators gathered outside the Whipple building in Minneapolis, rallying against the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good and increased immigration enforcement across the city. Federal authorities appeared to detain at least 4 protesters during the demonstration. Protesters were heard yelling shame at the officers and telling them to go home. ICE has been shooting pepper balls and deploying tear gas against protesters as multiple scuffles broke out. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem defended the shooting in a Wednesday press conference just hours after her death. Wow, that was a miss. That was a question. That was a sentence that could have been worded better. Noem told reporters that ICE agents repeatedly instructed the victim to get out of her car and stop obstructing law enforcement, but she did not comply. And added that Good had been stalking and impeding agents all day. Video of the scene showed Good's car in the middle of the road in a residential neighborhood as ICE agents in a dark gray Nissan Titan truck got out and approached her vehicle. Good is heard yelling to agents to go around. As they walked toward her vehicle, it's a Honda Pilot, she told One agent told her to get out of the car. Then she abruptly puts it in reverse and attempts to drive off before she is shot. Noam claimed the woman was trying to weaponize her vehicle and attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. And then Mayor Jacob Frey said Good was shot in the head and strongly disputed agency's self-defense claim as BS. And then Tim Walz called the INS people a propaganda machine. If the police tell you to stop, you stop. If the police stop you and tell you to exit your vehicle, you exit the vehicle. The lady was completely in the wrong. And the fact is, her vehicle touched an ICE agent, a federal law enforcement agent, a police officer, or whatever, could be a Weebelo or whatever, that if you get struck by a car, it's going to cause damage. So he was in the right. I feel he was in the right. All right? What we're looking at, 52. I'm drying up. And then Kristi Noem said the lady was stalking. She was known to have been for several blocks following and taunting federal immigration customs enforcement agents. And she was a member of the LBGT community. All right, what else we got here? Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about before I go to premium, well, there's two more things, right? Okay, this is pretty cool. It's an article, all right, it's from the New York Post. Greenland is vast, frozen, and largely uninhabitable. Here's why President Trump wants it. Remember, Greenland is white and Iceland is green, okay? Because Iceland is nice because they don't want you to go there. From May until late July, Greenland experiences 24 hours of daylight. In spite of that, there is much of the world's largest island that remains a mystery. And despite the fact that 80% of Greenland is under a 1.6 mile deep ice cap. The place is currently hot. Since his return to office in 2025, President Trump has made it very clear he wants the vast frozen land to become part of the U.S. Vance announces a multi-state task force to fight fraud. That was breaking news. So eager Trump is to take it over, according to the White House this week, utilizing U.S. military is an option. Caroline Leavitt said yesterday that the president said that because he takes no options off the table. So people read into that too much, right? But given that almost entirely is frozen and uninhabitable, why? Why would the president want Greenland? Greenland is used as a key for technology, security, and space exploration. That's from Tom Dans, who served as the commissioner for the United States Arctic Research Commission during the first Trump administration. Hopefully he doesn't already have a book written, right? Trump has a long-term perspective in the region. The only problem is that the island, which has a population of just 60,000, it's about 20,000 more than Copper's Cove, a quarter of whom live in the capital city of Nuuk, is already taken. Although geographically part of North America, Greenland is a self-governing territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, a member of the European Union and a U.S. ally. Both Denmark and EU has been firmly in saying that the land is not for sale, and they wouldn't react too well to a military invasion, although what they would potentially do about it remains a question mark. The U.S. already has one military base in Greenland, but Trump wants it all, although he initially floated military action. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has downplayed that, saying the U.S. would prefer to work through diplomacy with Denmark and Greenland to buy out the land. Trump himself put it aboard Air Force One. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Justina Froey, a non-resident fellow from the Atlantic Council, explained that the island's location is strategic, particularly for monitoring adversaries such as China and Russia. If you are controlling a territory, you can, with new technology, build sensors there. Greenland is a huge platform for observing, and you can build infrastructure to establish the situation awareness of that area and project further power. All right, man. And then she also noted Greenland, Iceland, and UK gap. That's the SCOTUS gap. So we have a sensor gap going across all the way around for the detection of ships and submarines. Submarines can enter Atlantic, but they got to go through the gap. Greenland is also important for monitoring threats from the air. U.S. military stronghold Pufnik Space Base, originally known as Thule's Air Base, has been in Greenland since the Cold War, constructed during the summers of 1951-52. So as you can see, most of Greenland is strategic military assets, right? Let's see if there's anything else in here. It's all military related, which is true. Oh, right here. Greenland is also rich in rare earth minerals after you get through the ice cap, which are key to manufacturing goods in the high-tech world we live in. They are essential components of cell phones, TVs, computers, radar, sonar, jet engines, X-ray tubes, lasers, military guidance systems, and high-strength magnets. Large deposits of those rare earth minerals are in China, which are previously tightened access to them and leveraged in its 2025 tariff fight with the U.S. Greenland is sitting on some of the most valuable real estate in terms of economic advantage and strategic defense for the next 3 to 5 decades. All right. So rare earth and military locations is what Greenland is known for. And you can look at it one up. So if you got about 30,000 people that live there, you could safely give them about $4 or $5 million a piece after they buy Greenland to set them up for success for many, many years to come. But I hear movement going on outside. Man. All right. So hey, Rob, thanks for chiming in. So that is the JP8 report for right now, okay? So tomorrow morning, I'm going to play it by ear. I'm going to look at my numbers for later on to see how well it was received and see if I could put together a 30-minute podcast for in the morning and then go in the afternoon. Also, I looks like I may have a guest on air tomorrow. Um, we will we will see. Um, it's a congressional candidate from District 31. I'd made a decision that I will that I am going to interview some of the candidates, and I just bring them in and let them and talk to them for a little bit, interview them, ask them some questions. Um, all Republicans are welcome to come over and be interviewed. Okay, I don't have the phone numbers for all of them, but I'm gonna reach out and speak with them to see if they want to come over and be interviewed, and that will be most of the time that will be live, and I never edit my any if I record a podcast, I air it just the way that that it was recorded. Okay, so you never have to worry about me cutting and splicing. Okay, so I don't do that. All right, so I have to go to on Rumble Premium now. Okay, guys. So so I don't have enough people to. Well, my software malfunctioned, so I know I'm live, but it won't let me do an ad read. But when I go premium, if you're not a premium subscriber, you will drop off. All right. And the only way you can overcome that is to have Rumble Premium. Rumble Premium, if you go to rumble.com/premium, and I do believe that the code word is, so you can get a discount, is, hold on just a second. The promo word is studio, STUDIO. So if you want to get Rumble Premium at a discount, okay? All right. So this is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I will see y'all tomorrow. I'll catch you on the flip side. If you're on premium, stand by. I'll be right back, okay? So let me go over here. I'm going to stop the recording. Alrighty. And then hold on. We are... Am I premium yet?